Thank you so much for tuning into our webinar today. We are fortunate to have Eduardo Sorto, Applications Engineer for Tech30, here with us today to talk about the latest enhancements and updates to Creo 5.0, as well as Hamed Yamsi, Business Development Manager for Tech30. I will now hand the reins over to Hamed, who will give you a little background overview on Tech30.
Thank you, Monique. Welcome, everybody. So I first want to go over our company's mission. Essentially, Tech30 is here to help our customers solve the most challenging engineering problems and provide not just the software, but also the engineering services, the training, as well as the support to ensure that our customers can make the most benefit of those tools. So just to give an overview of our portfolio, we focus on PTC software, primarily for the CAD, PLM calculations and augmented reality, and the solutions of Creo, Windchill, MathCAD, Arbortext, which is for technical publications, and ThingWorks, which is the augmented reality and IoT platform. We also have a division for additive manufacturing. We rep 5 brands of 3D printers, as well as a couple of ancillary products to automate. The focus there really is the functional parts for industrial applications. And we have a big focus on reducing or minimizing the human labor that goes into 3D printing applications. We have a fairly large services organization as well. This is a CAD agnostic group that focuses on various engineering needs, such as design and build, for tooling, fixtures, and other design aspects, PLM deployments, customizations, configurations, lots of experience in both an Team Center. We do a lot of training, analysis, and modeling, and CAD offload, as well as 3D scanning and reverse engineering. So the goal here really is for us to be viewed not just as a vendor or supplier, but essentially an extension of our customers' engineering team. So if you have any of these needs that we can support, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So now I'll pass over the presentation to Eduardo, who's going to dive into the details of all the enhancements of Creo 5.
Thank you, Hamed, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eduardo Sorto, an application engineer here at Tech30, and I specialize in PTC products such as Creo, MathCAD, Windchill, ThingWorks, and Arbortext, and I provide support, training, and services for these products. So in this presentation, I'm going to introduce the latest technology in Creo 5 and walk you through some of the awesome new features that are now available. So as many of you already know, Creo 5 was released in mid-March, and for those who are in active maintenance or have recently purchased Creo, you are able to access Creo 5 within your PTC portal. And if you have any questions regarding that, just contact me after this presentation. So PTC included over 100 different enhancements with this release. And it's impossible to go through all of them in a short amount of time, so I'm going to pick out some of the most anticipated features, as well as touch on some of the new extensions that are now offered. So as you can see, the first thing we'll look at today is the new changes within the Creo user interface and some of the new experiences you are now able to have. We'll go over some of the feature enhancements, as well as the overview of some additions to Creo's machining extension and their simulation portfolio. So at the end of the slides, I'll go over some of the most helpful productivity tools in a form of a demo and show you how to get started on Creo 5 and basically how to speed up your modeling process. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started and see what's new within the user interface. So the user interface in Creo 5 has increased its functionality by adding a more modern appearance. So basically, it's going to provide you with a cleaner look and a more concise and clear information on your screen. So for example, the dragger selection was changed to provide clear information on how you're editing and modifying your model. Creo 5 also makes it easier to learn for new users by including short directions while hovering over a part. But for this example, if you hover over there, you can see that it asks you to select an edge and basically walks you through how to go over your new feature. So the next new enhancement is within the model tree. Now this is one of my favorites because it's very helpful and this is something you're going to use constantly. So now the show only / show except tool is very helpful because it pretty much makes your model more concise. For example, you have a large assembly and just want to see one specific part within that assembly. You're now able to hide all the different components. So it gives you more control over what you're seeing in your screen. There's also a new tree search and filter. For example, if you want to search for all your extrusions, you can go ahead and type that in and it's highlighted in green. Easy way for you to find and go along with your modeling process. Another cool thing about Creo 5 is the introduction to the Autodesk Inventor. So now within PTC's Unite technology, they have expanded their compatibility matrix to include Autodesk Inventor files. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Unite technology, it is the engine running in the background that allows Creo to import and open their 3D format files such as SolidWorks, CATIA, NX, and now it includes Inventor. So this is very useful when you're working with different vendors who have different CAD softwares. So you no longer have to request a step file or a neutral file. Instead, you can just bring in their CAD format and save as within their native file. So it makes it easier to work with vendors or some of your clients who don't necessarily have Creo. Okay, now moving on to some of the feature enhancements. We'll first take a look at sketch regions. Now this is one of the most useful ones in my opinion because constantly I've seen customers who have a zillion different sketches that they have to create within their model tree, and it just makes it a little bit more difficult for them to control how their features are created. So for sketch regions, it now allows you to quickly create geometry with selected sketch-based features. For example, in this image here, you're able to see that even though there are intersecting lines within the sketch, you're able to select and deselect what you want to extrude or cut, for example. So as many of you already know, in Creo 4 and previous versions, you weren't able to create any extrusions when you had intersecting lines. So the only sketches that you were able to create features with were enclosed non-intersecting line sketches. So this is one of the most useful ones in my opinion. Next thing that Creo 5 offers is drafting with rounds. So it's now easier to assign drafts to models that are already contain rounds or chamfers. So in the past, Creo had requested you to either modify your part so your rounds and chamfers were designed after your drafts, but now you're able to do it before and after, and it gives you more control of your workflow. So an example of this is basically when you import a neutral file containing rounds and chamfers, Creo 5 solves the issue to assign drafts first by selecting the surfaces, grabbing the hinge, and lets you modify it easily and quickly. So no longer do you have to suppress or move your previous features. Right? And this increases productivity through faster creating draft surfaces and adjacent rounds or chamfers, and making it easier for machining purposes. Another enhancement is the feature mirror tool. So this is new because previously in Creo you were limited to what you can select to mirror. For example, here you can see that the user can select different features and add or remove what he wants or she wants to mirror along that plane. So we now get a preview of the in-graphics window for immediate and visual feedback on your selection. So now there's geometry preview and basically more control over how you create your mirrors. Now looking into design perspective, we now have the ability to design in a perspective environment. So this helps designers especially to see how their product's going to look in the real world. So by default, your view is loaded in an orthographic view. So in Creo 5, we can now model while maintaining a perspective view, something that you couldn't do before. So it is used to default back to orthographic, and then you would have to move your model, select perspective view, take a look at how it would react within real visuals, and then go back to the modeling process. Now it's easy to just activate the perspective view and basically toggle back and forth within your feature creations. Additionally, in Freestyle, we see that you're able to import preview and meshes. So for example, if someone creates the blob on the right and you would like to import that and transform those by pushing and pulling that geometry, you're now able to do so by aligning with curvature and box creation mode. So below is an image of the box creation mode. So this allows you to have control over the edges, the sides, and you can create your box mode to have a coarser or finer mesh, so you again have more control over how those surfaces react. So align with curvature is also useful when you have a sketch within your model and you would like to align some part of that geometry onto your sketch. So you can just drag, align, and basically create a new part that way. A new thing introduced within Creo 5 and recently in Creo 4, the last date code, we see that Render Studio is now available as a separate application. So you can toggle back between the modeling environment and having Render Studio as its own application. And there's also new enhancements to real-time ray tracing and scene creation and illumination within your model. So it adds more functionality and it makes it more customizable for you to produce the images that you want to see. And again, as some of you may already know, it's powered by Lux and Keyshot, one of the leaders within their field of rendering. And this is something you're going to see a lot with PTC. Instead of having to create their own engine, they strategize so they can work with some of the leaders in the industry and make it easier for you to integrate simulation or other enhancements within the Creo environment. So thus reducing the amount of time for you to learn different interfaces and reduce training costs. Okay, so now let's look at some of the new enhancements to Creo 5. So looking into the manufacturing side of Creo's portfolio, we can see that now the new extension supports metal printing, specifically the support material to create 3D printing. So it provides 3D printer connectivity and it integrates build process framework capabilities and automatically generates a 3D metal printing support structure. And this is powered by Materialize. Materialize is, again, an industry leader, and with this engine in the background, it allows you to create support members for your metal prints and also give you control to edit and shape the way those patterns come out. So previously, you would just have to print whatever support members were given to you by either the default settings or the printer type. But now with this extension, it gives you more control over how that's created. So for example, if you see that the support members of material added over time is more than what's necessary, you can go ahead and reduce that amount and reduce the cost of your material. So this is also a great new extension if any of you are within the 3D printing or additive manufacturing realm or looking into a new form of creating prototypes and actual machined parts as well. All right, another thing we'll look at is mold machine extension. So this is also new to Creo 5, and PTC partnered with Module Works to introduce the mold machine extension. This extension allows the user to generate optimized toolpaths for fabrication of tools, molds, dies, and basically anything that involves low volume, geometry-based NC programming. So it enables faster toolpath generation and works for high-speed machining. It is fully integrated within PTC Creo, so you can make changes to your design, and your toolpath also changes as well. So it has a parent-child relationship. So no longer do you have to send this file to someone else to redo that simulation. Now you can just toggle back and forth between tabs, and the mold machining extension already picks up those design changes. So you can just work in a flow without having any disruption. All right. Another extension is the Creo Flow Analysis. And this is a great tool in case you have previously worked with other forms of simulation. So PTC partnered with Cimerix, and they're a lead industry simulation software. So they specialize in fluid pumps, valves, compressors, and their engine provides an accurate and reliable solver. So this could give you more of confidence on creating CFD simulation. So this extension makes it easy to create simulation models with a one-step creation of solid and fluid domains. It's an automatic creation of high efficiency, high quality mesh, and it maintains its shape and aspect ratio, something very important within creating CFD simulations or computer fluid dynamics simulations. So this is easy to set up. You don't have to learn a different interface. Again, it's all integrated within Creo, which makes it easy to learn and easy for your product process. Then Creo 5 also included the Topology optimization extension, which allows you to basically create the most optimized part without having to worry about any design constraints. So this extension takes a 3D design space and literally cuts away material to achieve the most efficient design. So the method doesn't care about aesthetics. It doesn't follow any traditional approach or any of the usual design constraints that you would normally use. It basically has some restrictions that you set to it. For example, here in the red, you can see that there's some bolts that are maybe assigned to that, and then on the top right, there's some force that it has to resist, and Creo performs analysis to optimize how that part is going to be constrained and modeled. All right, so now let's look at some of the demos and of the productivity tools and some of the new feature enhancements. So I'll jump over to Creo right now and show you some of those new tools in action. Okay, so for the first example, I'm going to show the perspective view or designing in perspective view. So here we're looking at the floor of a bedroom or someone's apartment, right? And with this perspective view here, it gives you a more realistic view of how this would look, right? So if we select that here, it provides you a more 3D aspect. You can toggle over your design and see how this is reacting, right? So before you would have to turn this on, turn this off, but now you can go ahead and create your design right here. In this case, for example, let's say we want to add a window right above this couch here. We're able to just do so within the perspective environment. We'll do a simple extrusion now. Right. Cut. And we're good to go. Right, so this is new in Creo 5. Creo 4, you would have to go back and forth, and it's basically it gives you more control on how you view your model. Okay, next thing we're going to look at is sketch regions. Now this is one of my favorite tools here. So previously when you had this in Creo 4, you would have to create 3 different sketches, right, to create your model. So for example, for sketch 1 here, we would like to have this extruded up. And then for sketch 2, we would have this extruded the other way. And for sketch 3, let's create a cut. Okay, so that's no longer necessary to do all these steps. Creo 5, you're able to have all these sketches within one sketch itself and be able to select what you want to extrude, what you don't want to extrude, and so forth. So let's go ahead and go back here and take a look at sketch 4. So this is another cool thing about the model tree and different enhancements. You can select the show only, right? So it would suppress everything else and just show this sketch 4. All right, and if you select down here, you'll see something new called sketch region. So this allows you to select what you want to extrude, whether it be this piece here, right, or even this piece here, right, and you're able to toggle back and forth. So for this, you can just select all these surfaces, go back and forth, and then within the same sketch itself, you can create your part here, and there you go. So this will definitely clean up your model tree here. You no longer have to have all these 3 sketches that you previously used in Creo 4, and it will make it a little bit easier for you to create your models. So let's also take another look just to demonstrate how intersecting lines react in Creo 5. So let's take a look at the top plane here and create a sketch. Right. And now let's create a circle right here. So previously, you would not be able to extrude this, right? This sketch is this circle here is intersecting with this rectangle. So previously, Creo 4 would not know how to interpret this. It would usually just extrude this as a surface, right? But with a sketch region tool, it's able to break these sketches apart into individual ones. All right, so you're able to now extrude this single piece if you'd like, or select multiple ones. All right, so this was not possible before, but now you can again condense your model tree and basically have control of what you want to select and what you don't want to select. Okay. Now let's take a look at the feature mirror tool. The feature mirror tool is something that was introduced in previous Creo versions, but it has gone to a different level to provide you more control of how this or different features are mirrored along a plane or along an axis. So for example, let's set up this model here and say for this tool we would like to mirror this surface or this extrusion to the other side. So with Creo's new tool, you can go ahead and select this plane and select show only, right? And all your datum planes are suppressed. Right? Previously, you would have to select all these planes individually and then press hide, and it would cut into your time. And this is especially an issue when there's 100 different planes all over the place. And I've seen this before where it's hard to pick out what plane it is, so many customers just go ahead and create another plane just so they're able to view what they intend to select. So in this case, let's go back and select show only again. Right, and now let's go into the mirror tool. All right, so let's select this surface here. And let's select mirror, and then click on this plane. See? And you can go into references now, and it gives you an option to select multiple features. So, for example, say you want this round to be represented in that mirror, it would also propagate here. Right, so you can do that for the holes as well, for this hole, this cut, right? And just like that, it's easy to go ahead and mirror different parts. So it definitely cuts a bunch of time down. You don't have to reiterate this feature onto the other side. It's easy to manipulate, to control, and to edit your part, right? And then now you can go ahead and show all of them and suppress that plane that you'd like as well, right? So with the Creo 5, you're also able to search through your model tree, right? For example, say you have hundreds of different features here, and you would like to know where a specific hole was, right? So you forget where it is within your model tree, but you know it's a hole, right? So now you're able to just type in hole, and it would highlight all the different features that are within your model. You'll also be able to do that with higher level features such as mirroring and patterning, right? That's something very helpful that hopefully you can use in when it comes to large assemblies or parts with a long model tree history. Okay, now let's take a look at the new draft tool. Let's go ahead and create a new part. Let's call this draft. Create 5. Bring this in here. And let's go ahead and create an extrusion and see how Creo 5 handles creating draft within parts that have rounds and chamfers. Right. So let's add a round here. Right, so that's a cool trick. Also, if you don't know, you can right-click your mouse and it selects all the different edges here. Makes it easier if you have a bunch of these edges instead of selecting them one by one. All right, so now this is a round. We'll go into our drafting tool and select our surfaces. These two, and let's select the hinge on the top and our pull direction. Right, so previously, you would have to do the draft first and then the rounds, then add the rounds or chamfers, but now it would go between both of them. Now, this was especially an issue when there's an imported part, right? Here you could have, before you would move your round along down the line here and have your draft added beforehand, right? So this was the previous version. Draft, hinge, right, and then activate your round. That was the workflow beforehand, but you can see how this could be an issue when you have an imported part and you're not able to recognize the round and bring it back and forth. So Creo's 5 new engine in the background allows you to do so, and again, cuts down time for you to mess around with the model tree in the first place. Okay, and one of my favorite new tools in Creo is the rendering tool. So, give me 1 second while I look for the part here. It's going to be a Polaris snowmobile part, and we are going to walk through a simulation, or I'm sorry, a rendering of this model. So this is Creo's pulling in the background at the moment. Let's go over here. And yes, so it's going to be a Polaris snowmobile. There it is. And the rendering tool is especially helpful if you have a design review coming up and you'd like to demonstrate to the marketing team or potential customers how your product is going to be viewed within the real life or on the shelves, basically, right? So with the rendering tool, it's going to give you more control of how your product is viewed. So give it a second while this loads on the other screen. Okay, there it is. We'll bring in the model. All right, let's suppress everything. Let's hide everything. So now, all right, let's hide this as well. Okay. So let's go into our rendering studio application. Right, and what you'll see is it starts rendering automatically, right? So this is in real time. So instead of waiting for it to, take hours for it to render and then checking it and realizing that there's something that you don't quite want it to look like, you're able to view it of your final product already within the application, right? And some of the cool things that Creo offers is the ability to edit the way this is viewed. So, right, it gives you more tools, more functionality and capabilities of how this is viewed. So, with this, let's bring in something that I'll make our Polaris vehicle pop out. Right, so we have a custom HDR here. We could bring in, right, let's say we want to modify the lighting here, kind of represent a sunny day in Colorado up in the mountains. So let's go ahead and do our editing, our ground illumination, and just mess around with how the lighting is portrayed, right? So now, this is a pretty high def representation, but it's not until you select the render tool here and modify resolution, your sample size, and your time as well, you would see your final product. So this is really cool to use, great tool for representing your product and seeing how this is going to be viewed to customers. Okay, and that was some of the basic new features to Creo 5, some of the new enhancements and productivity tools. So I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint here and kind of go over a summary of what was introduced. So as you can see, Creo 5 is a new tool or an enhanced tool that makes your job a lot easier. So PTC has made an effort to include lots of different key productivity enhancements that can create your modeling process much faster and your design and manufacturing process faster as well. So Creo offers both new and expanded capabilities of additive manufacturing, mold machining, topology optimization, computational fluid dynamics, and has enhanced their multi-CAD collaboration through the addition of the inventor capabilities. So it's designed as a form of tool where you can bring in different CAD softwares and have a more integrated form of 3D designing. So it basically toggles back and forth between your simulation, the machining, and your design process. And with that said, I'm going to open it up for any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Eduardo. Excellent presentation, very informative. And to our attendees, we'll be posting this video to YouTube later today. Feel free to pass along to your friends and colleagues, and be sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn to get information regarding upcoming webinar dates and topics. If you could please just stick around for 5-10 seconds after the webcast ends to fill out a short survey. Let us know how we did and what you liked. We really appreciate your feedback. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.